You'll be like, wow, it sounds like the speakers are all around me. And welcome back to GT Canada. Today we've got another PlayStation 5 test. If you've seen one of my other videos, you've seen me hooking up my Astro Mixamp for proper full Dolby surround sound. Now, you may have read in the comments, some people say the Sony 3D sound is better than the Astro Mixamp sound. So they're just plugging their headphones straight into here and using that sound. So what I wanted to know is, can I test if the 3D sound is actually as good in a game where it matters, where you need to know if someone's behind you or in front of you? Can you tell truly if somebody is really behind you or in front of you? So I set up a scenario, and that scenario was I set up a custom match in Black Ops 4, and it's just a multiplayer game. I had my son join with me, and all the test was very simple. I stood somewhere, he stood, and I spun around in circles, and then when I stopped, I listened. I was blindfolded, and I listened to where I thought he was, and he just started punching so that I could hear a sound, and then I rotated myself around until I thought I was looking at him. The theory is this: left and right is easy to hear, front and back is not. And how does the system know if I'm in the front or the back strictly from a left or right sound source, which is what comes from the stereo sound? I did the test first of all with my Astro Mixamp with the Dolby off, which means I'm stereo sound, just left and right sound. What I found was what I expected. I did 5 tests, and of those 5 tests, about half of them he was behind me when I thought he was in front of me, and the other half he was actually in front of me when I thought he was in front of me. I then did the test with Dolby surround sound on, and I spun around, and every time, all 5 times, he was actually in front of me when I thought he was in front of me. And then I did the test again with my PlayStation 5 controller and my headphones plugged directly into here, and the results were 3 times he was in front of me and 2 times he was behind me when I thought he was in front of me. Now, what I noticed was, as I was spinning, I could actually hear in the Dolby surround, I could hear him circling around my head. In the 3D sound, I could hear him going from my left to my right and then kind of mixing between the two. So to tell which is front and which is rear becomes difficult. You have to use visual cues at that time, where if you hear the sound in stereo, meaning left and right are equal to you, and you don't see the guy in front of you, then that means he must be behind you. And I think that's tricking a lot of people into thinking that the 3D sound is actually giving you a full 3D sound, when really it's a simulated 3D sound. But Black Ops 4 was out long before the PlayStation 5 came out, which means it was not specifically coded with 3D audio in mind. So the only game I have that is coded for 3D audio is Astro's Playroom. So I booted up Astro's Playroom, and I plugged my headphones again into here, and I got to this part in the level where I can hear this sound front and center, and if I rotate around the room, that sound would then move to my left ear and then around, and then in theory, when I get to this point where it's behind me, with the 3D sound, I should hear it behind me, right? Because this is specifically coded for 3D audio. What I found again was in my test, I could spin around the room and I could kind of tell where I was, not because the 3D sound is so great, but just because Astro actually spins so slow, I can hear the sound mix from one side to the other, and then Sony does a good job of trying to create a front and rear sound. It is a really good job, and if you don't have a true Astro Mixamp with surround sound option, the 3D sound is a great solution for you. It will sound good, but it's not the true sound. When I put the Astro into Dolby mode on the same game, I could hear the sound circling around my head. I could actually hear it. With my eyes closed, I could spin around and I knew exactly where I was, and I tried an experiment with that where I turned the volume down and I spun around with no volume at all, and then I stopped and then turned the volume up, and I could tell instantly that the sound was behind me. And when I rotated around to where I thought it would be in front of me, it ended up being pretty close to 180 degrees that I had to spin. I got the sound in front of me and I had to take a peek, and sure enough, I was looking straight at that dome. So what does that mean? That means you still can't beat an Astro Mixamp with the 5.1 surround sound turned on and hooked up properly with the optical cable, like I show in the instructions in the video over here. So if you haven't seen those, see it. If you've got an Astro Mixamp, definitely get the hardware required to get the full hookup for surround sound. If you have only one cable, like this, where you have the USB, you can still run the Sony 3D surround sound and it will sound really good. But it is not, and you need to understand this, it is not true surround sound. It is a simulated surround sound from a 2-channel source. That's what it seems like. I looked online and I could not find specs where Sony tells you exactly what they're doing. They want you to think that it is a surround sound option. For you audio guys out there, you already know what I'm talking about. But for the rest of you, consider it the same as a sound bar that you put underneath your TV. So the soundbar really is only a 2-channel sound, and then they just create a simulated surround sound by playing with speaker tuning, playing with sound adjustments and whatnot to make it seem like surround sound. And your ears will play tricks on you and you'll be like, wow, it sounds like the speakers are all around me. Well, yes, it kind of does, but you gotta know it's doing that with only 2 channels of audio. So you're not getting a true surround sound, you're just fooling your brain. So you're not getting the full experience. And I'll bet you that a theater is not going to remove their full Dolby surround sound THX certified system and put a 2-channel sound bar at the front of the theater and expect moviegoers to be like, oh yeah, the sound is so great. There's a reason why there are speakers all along the side of a theater, and speakers in the back, and speakers all across the front, and subs in the floor, and under the seats, and in the walls, and everything. It's because your ears can tell the difference between properly coded full surround sound and simulated surround sound. That's what I'm here to tell you. The Sony 3D sound is good, it is not perfect, and it is not a replacement for a proper surround sound system. If you have the option for a proper surround sound system, go for that. Because in games where it matters, if you know someone's behind you on your right, behind you on your left, or directly behind you, you will not beat a surround sound system. And I have a feeling that the pro gamers already know this, and they're saying, Anton, you're preaching to the choir, buddy. We already know. Well, this is for everyone that's not a pro gamer who wants to have the advantages that the pro gamers have. They are not playing with 3D sound. I promise you that. Tell me what you think in the comments below. Did you try this test yourself? Can you notice a difference? And if you haven't subscribed to the channel already, do that below. And we hope to see you again. Have a great day.